Why you tryna? Why you tryna? Why you tryna? You be Mars. Say don't tell me.
Yeah, bro. Oh my gosh, we are back in it. We're in full swing. We're hanging out now. I'm a little bit more used to you and your amazing face and your beautiful ears that I get to talk into every week. Oh man, greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful day. I just woke up from this, those naps that you take and you didn't expect to take a nap, but then you just wake up and you're like, oh, I guess I took a nap. And then you feel refreshed and you're like, oh, I guess I needed that nap. Well, that's where I am at right now. I'm pretty refreshed, and maybe you woke up from a nap as well, or maybe you've been working all day. But just kick back, relax, and if you want to sleep to the sounds of the Airwalk Talks, you can, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to want to sleep on this episode because we're going to be talking about how I create my skits from literal zero to hero. from just the pure essence of an idea and how I make that come into fruition. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, no matter what time it is for you, I am hoping that you are having a, good time. If not, then have a good time with me, So, I really appreciate all of you being here, and I'm glad to see your beautiful face. I decided to keep everything absolutely free and open. Let me know in the comments if this information has added value to your life, or if you have any questions for me, and I will try my absolutely best spanking best. I'm really messing up this intro. I'll try my best to get back to you. Also, you can support my Patreon, which is linked below. And I say it every time, but please take heed. Literally, don't support my Patreon unless you actually, genuinely enjoy my content. Okay, so today we will be talking about, let me just say, Airwalk Talks. If this is your first time here, this is basically a very chill podcast, kind of video, kind of not thing that I want to put out for the public, because I remember when there were skits happening, like Vine and all of this other stuff, and I was like, well, how do you do that? And I had to figure it out on my own because there weren't many videos that really just told in detail how you're able to create an entire video with only one camera and only one person and perhaps maybe one phone. So, and it's crazy to me how there wasn't that much content out there, or how there wasn't really an answer for that. So I decided, okay, well, I'm going to embark upon my journey. Oh, wait, okay. So I'm thinking about making this a little bit more kind of audio scapey and just kind of like this. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. For it is Timotheus Airwalker, and I feel as though I should be embarking upon this crazy, fantastic, and wonderful journey full of rots and twists and heroic disadvantages and all of the other things that heroes embark upon on adventures like these. And I am here for you, the Airwalkers, the Airwalkerites, and to fight for our rights, to learn how to make amazing skits and scene. Yes. So, please tell me in the comments if you enjoyed what I just did right then, because that I feel like that's a little bit more fun, a little bit more enjoyable, and a whole lot more interactive. And it just, I'm here to have fun. So, without further ado, let's get on it. Okay, so this week I want to talk to you about Backwards Repairman. Well, I wrote down Backward Repairman, but either way, this was something that I came up with as I was driving. I was just driving and I was like, oh, what if, like, because I really enjoy taking ideas and turning them on their heads. Sometimes literally, other times, and most of the time figuratively. But I feel like repairmen are hired to fix your stuff. And what if he does fix it, but instead of it doing the thing it's supposed to, it does the opposite? And so that's basically where this idea came from. I just kind of just thought about it. I was like, huh. I feel like that's crazy. And I feel like you can have an idea at any point in time. You just have to let yourself have that idea and not shy away from the dumb ideas, quote unquote dumb ideas, honestly, because even if that quote unquote dumb idea isn't like the brightest or whatever, you should allow yourself to at least have it and kind of flirt with the idea that you created, because it's just like everything else. Like the first time you play tennis, you're probably not going to be good, but if you just flirt with the idea that, oh, okay, well, I'm not good right now, but if I keep doing this for a year, 2 years, a decade, I will eventually be good at tennis. And it's the same thing for ideas. And it's like, oh, that's not really a good idea. Are you going to just put down your tennis racket and walk away from that idea? No, you should just flirt with the fact that, okay, well, this isn't the best idea, but still try to kind of flesh it out. And maybe somewhere in that process of fleshing it out, you're like, oh, wait, no, there's something inside of here that is actually a whole better idea. And there's a lot of times when I'm making skits or thinking about skits, and as I'm writing down one, I'm like, oh, there's another idea in there. And I'll just write that trigger down so that later I may further kind of like talk about that one and go in depth. But I definitely try to finish the first skit. And the reason I'm talking about this is because Backwards Repairman was the first skit that I felt like, oh, what am I doing? I don't like this. I don't want anything to do with this. This sucks. I know I try to keep this podcast as structured as possible, but I just want to talk to you about, the project, the idea, where the influences or what has influenced it, whether that be external or internal, and then how I wrote it, how I shot it, and how I edited each skit. So, yes, now that I've already talked about the idea and what project it is, let's talk about the influences. For this one, I don't think there were many influences there. I just thought about, okay, well, a repairman that fixes things backwards, and I just tried to ground that a little bit in reality, and then towards the end I really wanted it to derail, but I felt like I was relying too much on derailing in a very chaotic sense. All the skits from here on have really just been me, or at least the past two have been me freaking out. And I feel like there's comedy and humor in other areas other than just freaking out chaotically, reacting to your external environment. So I really wanted this one to be a little bit more somber, and hopefully I could have found a laugh in there. This is definitely not my favorite skit, but that's okay, because if I'm gonna make a bunch, or even if I made two, at least one of the skits are gonna have to be not my favorite. I definitely derailed from the influence, but for writing this, let's just get into the script. When I wrote this one, going back to the most recent skit that I made last week when we talked about the asterisks, I really like the asterisk innovation that I created, which was whenever I put asterisks, that means the character in the diegesis of that world is doing something. It's an action. It's something that you can physically see. And that just really helps a lot. And for this one, I put CU for the close-ups, and I've dabbled a little bit in my other scripts doing that. And this one was just it was a combination. It was CU controller, the utilization of the asterisks again, pressing a bunch of buttons, and then A1 says bro, and more actions. Screen character does nothing. I mean, sometimes you have to actually physically say that like the character isn't doing anything, and then the character gets up, turns on the light, and now we have a close-up of the light switch on the ground. And these different little practical effects I had to kind of figure out on my own, but I didn't write them in the script because I already had a pretty good idea as to how I was going to complete those practical effects. And I feel like it was not going to add too much value during the process of shooting. A1 says, how? This is ridiculous. I'm calling a repairman. And then this dash right here. It's to signify the passing of time. I didn't know how to transition time, and it felt very weird. So I just cut to black, I believe, and it didn't work too well, or at least that was my idea, to cut to black. But I find that whenever I'm making skits, it's better to just keep everything happening fluid, flowy, and everything flows into one another. Keep going. Actor 1 sits down, and then the knock, looks over while he come through the back, close up of the door opening, and then we have actor 2's lines, and then their back and forth conversation, and then A1 nods, says okay, he sits down, and I didn't actually do this part, which was the crazy building noises, but I feel like it was important for me to communicate to my future self that, hey, I kind of wanted some crazy, like almost Looney Tune type sounds, but I didn't know how to really complete this one. This skit I also shot over the course of 2 days, and I was not feeling motivated. And sometimes that's how it be, and you just don't feel motivated to do something. But I, just looking back, I'm really glad that I committed to the skit and I pushed through and I finished the rest of it because I was not feeling it at all. And then we have another cut to black, and then we have the Charles character saying that ought to do it, and then actor 1 is saying, oh, I appreciate it, and then we get to this crazy part, which is the video games, and then the controller doesn't work right. And it's like, bro. And then he flipped the light switch first, and then the video game controller, and both of those two things were backwards. And then I went to another transition to external where he hopped in the car, and I didn't know how to communicate to my audience that, hey, these two things are backwards. So therefore the car should be backwards. So if I put it in reverse, it should go forwards. I didn't know how to communicate that through any type of filmmaking. And that might be just lack of planning, lack of skill, maybe lack of writing well enough. Maybe I could have like refined my writing a little bit better, but I just ended up putting in like this internal dialogue that felt kind of off because we hadn't been in his head the entire skit. Why are we in his head now? And it felt weird. There was no rule of thirds. Like if you do something in a film, usually you want to do that thing 3 times, not just one time out of nowhere. And like I said, I wanted this to be a lot more somber of an ending, kind of sad, but it was just, I was just not feeling it. This skit, like I said, I'm super glad that I pushed through, I drudged through the drudgery, and I actually completed it. But this one was not it, man. And then I even wrote character freaks out, but I didn't do it because it didn't seem right for this skit and the mood that it had. So I just decided not to do it as the director, the actor, filmmaker, the writer, or actually not the writer, because the writer in me said, hey, the character should freak out. And then everybody was, well, the director and the actor in me were like, no, we're not going to do that. I don't think that's going to fit this one. It's okay. So now that I've talked to you about writing, let's move on to shooting. I'm going to play the entire video just all the way through, and we're going to talk about shooting, probably kind of like live. So here's the video. I had a lot more quick cuts, and the practical effect of the light switch was just like on the wall. But I actually just found like a random light switch, and I just kind of put it on the wall, and I had it close up enough and like at a good enough angle to really just drop it and then make it seem like it fell off. We're moving to the interaction between these two characters, but you have to watch out for the window and the mirror. It didn't feel like these two characters were actually in the same space, to me at least, because I just left too much lead room in between them. Also, I had another pickup shot. This microwave shot was shot like 3 days after, because I was editing and I was like, this isn't it. There's no way to really connect the two things. But that's where I started cutting to black. And then I actually had 2 different light switches for that moment, because I was able to actually get the light switch to turn off whenever I flipped up. And then for the video game thing, I really tried to emphasize the fact that like it was backwards, but it was just a controller, and seeing the analog stick move left and right isn't physical enough to really convey what message I wanted to convey. And then moving to that car part, I wanted it somber, and maybe that's not the right word for the mood that I wanted, but I just wanted it not to be freaking out, just something that's going to be like, oh, dang, well, that sucks, because there is a wider range of emotions, more than just chaos and like freaking out, anxiety. There's like kind of like depression, sadness. I just want to convey the full range of emotion that human beings have available to them, and being able to, in a way, harness those emotions and be able to use them to convey a message through my media, through my craft, through my content creation. I feel that is very crucial to me personally. All right, boom. That was actually really easy. Okay, it wasn't like super duper easy, and maybe next time I like play the full skit like in kind of halftime, like just half of the speed, so that way I could talk about it a little bit more, because I don't want to like stop the video and then start the video, stop the video and start the video. Yeah, I feel like it's way better to just kind of like talk to you and just run through it very quickly, because that would also help my workflow with these podcasts. But then again, sometimes I just got to do extra work to really tell you how it be, because it really be the way it be out here. Whoo, okay. I'm going to drink a little bit of water, but then we are going to talk about editing. Yes. Okay, so editing, super duper crucial. I try to keep my shots really fast, and the reason behind that is because we are in this culture, this society, that our attention span is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. I feel like the fact that I said shorter 3 times, you probably already like stopped listening to me. And that is ridiculous. But so I try to tailor my content towards my demographic, my audience. And I'm pretty sure that will be probably about 5 or 6 years younger than me. So I know that their attention span is most likely going to be shorter. So I try to make my cuts feel or match that speed, or match a certain rhythm. And that is super important, and it's something that people don't think about that often. All right, so let's start the video right now. So I was shooting I have a projector. I don't have a TV. I don't own a TV. That's because I'm a minimalist. But I filmed that, and I had like these really, I really was starting to find my groove in my film style, which was making these almost Vine kind of videos or using Vine media literacy, except just with more cinematic stuff. So I have a lot more close-ups in a lot of my skits, honestly. And really just trying to get the dialogue right here is so important. And I didn't even think about actually like reshooting the flat what is it the light switch and the controller, but I quick cut back to like empty spots whenever I was filming it, and I cut on the microwave just before it closed, so that way I could cut to black and transition into the next day. And it feels like it's the next day. He's wearing different clothing and he's delivering his lines. And then I wanted to kind of just match those cuts of the controller doing its thing, but I still felt like I needed to deliver those lines, and they were super important. I shot all of this without any dialogue, but it didn't work, so I needed to reshoot, actually. Or not necessarily reshoot, but I literally just like took my SD card out, popped it into my camera, put my lavalier mic on it, and I just kind of shot like a few voice clips, like VO, which is short for voiceover, or internal dialogue, whatever you want to call it. That's what I shot, just trying to further deliver this message, because it felt like I tried to give you an Amazon package, except I left it at your neighbor's house who lives 3 doors down. Like, you're not gonna get that message. And sometimes you don't want to over deliver. You don't want to be the Amazon deliverer, and you have the package and you're trying to give it to your audience, and then you ring the doorbell, nobody answers, so you go around the backyard into through their back door, like this Backwards Repairman dude. And then you hop into bed with the audience person, or your audience, and then you're like, your package is here. Definitely do not do that. That is an invasion of privacy, and it's most likely illegal. So do not do that by any means. But you don't want to over deliver, and that is what I'm trying to say. Also, that was like kind of an Easter egg, like the Backwards Repairman coming through the back door. Come on. It's gold, okay? It's gold. That is comedic gold, and you will laugh. Oh man, I kind of want like another scenario where I could like put some music under it, and then we could talk, or I could talk the same way we did in the intro. Oh man, that'd be so great. And if I find a chance to do that on this podcast, I definitely will. You best bet your bottom licking penny dime. Oh boyo. But yeah, so we've talked about the project, which is Backwards Repairman. We've talked about where the idea came from, what external influences were made upon this idea, and how it shaped my perspective, my perception, and how I went about executing the writing, the shooting, and the editing. That's it. Now you have a lot more insight on that skit and my thought process and how I go about making skits. Oh man. Okay, I said I was going to find a place for me to put the music in, and here we go. 3, 2, 1, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here, because as long as I, Timothy Airwalker, can add value to your life, you don't look around. No, right there. Look me dead straight in the eyes. Yes, you. If I can add value to your life, that I did something right. And from the bottom of my heart, yes, the bottom of my heart and the top of my heart, thank you so much. And if I'm saying thank you too much, I'm probably not saying it enough. Okay, wait, hold up. Scene. See you later, Airwalkers. I can't wait until the next Airwalk Talks, where we're going to talk about another skit. Oh boy. Oh man, this one's going to be kind of crazy. I kind of like it. It's not super great. I was still kind of drudging through the drudgery, but you will be able to hear a lot more about that next week. Thank you so much, and please like, share, subscribe. And if you really enjoy my content, you can support my Patreon. But in the meantime, I will be just laying down, waiting until I can post yet another skit for your beautiful eye holes to ingest. Yes. And then I can't wait until my tongue can just flap across of my teeth and just spit voices of how I created my stuff into your beautiful, glorious ear holes. And this is getting kind of weird, but thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I want you to become part of the Airwalker family. And if you've gotten this far, guess what? You got my Ash Ketchum Pokemon animal abuse type badge. And why does nobody talk about Pokemon and animal abuse? Bro, that's going to be a skit later. Y'all better keep y'all eyes peeled. That's not going to happen until way later. But that might be a skit. And that's what's up. Skits come from anywhere, everywhere. I'm pretty sure this outro is pretty long, but I just want to chill. I just want to hang out. I seriously, genuinely hope that I've added value to your life and that you've gained some understanding, some useful information. Like, go out, make some skits, or take this information and kind of apply it to you in your accounting job, or working at Target, or you going to sleep. I don't know. Maybe you will learn how to make better omelets just by listening to this skit. Or maybe I'm just making your drive easier. Whatever it may be. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm so sad to leave, but you know what? I will be back next week. Next week, we'll be back. Thank you so much. Peace out, Airwalkers. Yeah. Wait, cue the music.
Why you trying to? Why you trying to? Know you be long, you be. Sit on, tell me the you.
Oh man, the next intro I'm gonna be like, turn my headphones down. That'd be hilarious.